Yes, it's the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions right here on Flow 94.9 FM. This is the flow of God's own state. I told you that I will be using one stone to kill two birds today on the program. First, I will be talking about food security, especially the blockade of food items from the north to the south. I already did a bit of introduction for you. And also, later on, I will be talking about grassroots security challenges, how we can tackle it right here in Abia State. Let's delve straight into the conversation concerning food security this morning. I have joining me the program coordinator of the Abia State Agriculture Development Program, Israel Amanze. Glad to have you join us this morning, Mr. Israel Amanze.
Thank you, my brother.
You're welcome. It's your first time on the platform. Let's talk agriculture. Let's talk food security. Now, that's blockade of food items, especially the perishable ones that we depend on right here in the southern part of the country. Let's look at the implication. Can the southern part of the country sustain itself without depending on some of these perishable goods, like the tomatoes, like some vegetables, and sometimes some jams also? And in fact, it gets to the point that we depend on the north for meat, some proteins, some essential proteins. So what do you make of this?
Well, that blockade is an unfortunate development, very, very unfortunate. And I think it's a new wind that blows nobody any good. It's an unfortunate development, and like I say, it will boomerang. The north that have imposed that blockade did not inform farmers and did not carry the farmers along. So eventually, it is the farmers that are going to suffer it. The losses, collateral losses, will be heavier on the north than on the south, because most of these farmers have invested, many of them have borrowed funds and invested in their farms, and at the peak of the harvest, you remember we don't have processing facilities here. A lot of damages will come upon the north within this short period. The south will also suffer. What they suffer is a shortage of these materials. But you know that for now, for some time, the south will also have some reserves to work with, and as they enjoy the reserves and as the thing grows on, the prices will actually rise. But like I tell you, the north will suffer reasonably due to losses occasioned by the spoilage of these perishables and the loss of investment by farmers. The two sides will have a lot of things to benefit or to suffer. This blockade will compel the south in the long run to develop some capacity to produce some of these things. Everybody will be compelled to do certain of these things which we are not doing before. So somehow, for some time, there will be a gradual development of capacity by the south to grow some of these things for themselves. At the same time, when it is happening that time, the north will also know the value of having good market, because the south has turned to be a big market for the north.
Okay, I'm not very good with agriculture now, but I would like you to enlighten me and, of course, enlighten our listener this morning. It's been said in some quarters that there are some of these goods, there are some of these crops and perishable goods that cannot survive in some part of the country. That's the reason why we need to depend. I mean, the southern part of the country needs to depend on the north for the production of certain crops, for the production of certain food items.
Yes, if we are actually one country and operating one constitution, you see that certain agroecological zones have competitive and cooperative advantages over the others in growing of certain crops. So with that, there are certain things we grow better here that the north cannot grow well, something like this oil palm and some of these crops this way. There are certain ones that grow better in the north. They have better weather, they have better soil for it. Actually, that can never be disputed. And if you want to grow those ones here, they will not do as efficiently as they do in the north. Likewise, some of the ones that grow here, which cannot do in the north. So, but the way it is, as a country, these people will produce this material and will move to the other side. The other people will produce their own and move it to this side. So if there is a blockade, if there is a go your own way that is happening, you will discover that here people in the south will start growing some of those things they were used not to grow. but they may not be very efficient in growing them, but they can still make some good work out of it. But that will not mean that comparatively they will grow them better than this not will grow them. But you can still grow them here. Some of this is, if you see something like watermelon okay, grows here, tomatoes grow here and other things. The only thing is that if the weather up like in Jos, weather in Jos, in Benue and all those, especially North Central, the weather and soil conditions and the volume of insolation, sun ray that comes in there is not the same thing that what comes in here. What we have here more is we have more of rains more than they have over there. So this thing is a very big challenge to government. It's government that should
I was going to ask you, is this not some sort of blackmail?
It's a blackmail on the government, and so one way or the other, what these people are saying, what these boys are saying is that it's still the same restructuring we are talking about. You are telling everybody to mind what is you are better in and control your own resources. That's what they're trying. The boys are saying. They're saying it without knowing it. They're saying, leave us with what we produce. It may snowball into other things. Other areas could also say, leave us with what we produce. It is a very big challenge to the government and the signal of failure of the center. So the government should do everything within its power to curtail that, because it will result in many other things which they may never like.
As a professional, aren't you worried that we may have a drought, so to speak, in quote, and famine if it continues like this and it finally stays, and say we're not going to have some certain food items coming into the
you see, currently now there's a very strong challenge on food security in the country. Even up there in the north, you can see that many farmers can plant and they cannot harvest because of herdsmen. Here also, the farmers cannot access their farmlands because of herdsmen. You plant before you harvest, you discover that cows will harvest it for you. These things are a very strong negative signal on food security in Nigeria, which the central government must deal with as quickly as possible. If not, we are heading to a failed state. The challenge on agriculture is not just the blockade. The challenge is also the insecurity in your farm. If you cannot farm and harvest it, if you farm with borrowed money and you cannot harvest it, then there's a very big challenge there. The same challenge is also coming up now with this blockade. If the blockade continues, you are trying to say, produce everything you need. We will produce everything we will need, and it's not a good signal.
Interesting. So what do you think will be the solution to this food security challenge that even the government is yet to pay attention to it, because we're still seeing food in the market and we're buying it, although the prices are soaring, and we're still buying it at that high price, at the high prices we're buying some of these food items in the market?
It is still the responsibility of government to remember that the southern part have access to seaports. Most of these things have been banned because we are expecting from the north to supply. If the boys blockade and say that nothing comes to the south, the federal government cannot stop the south from importing. They have access to windows to buy from other countries. So there is no way the federal government will permit this blockade and not allow the south to import. So, but what we are saying is that it is a very big challenge to the south for now to try to raise what they can raise internally, and a very big challenge to the federal government to stop it, because it is not in their own interest. Is not in the overall interest of government at all. Eventually, it might snowball into what the government may not like it. And you see, you cannot use food starvation as a weapon. Is against the United Nations charters on human rights. So is a big challenge to government, and government should not allow this to happen. If it happens, it's not in their interest. Like I have said, it will boomerang on the boys who are doing it. They didn't consult the farmers. If they consulted the farmers, they will not allow them. The farmers will suffer heavy losses this time, very heavy losses, to the extent that the people they target to this thing will harm. It will harm them. It will harm the people doing it more than the people they were targeting to handle it.
All right, if it continues like this, do you think, right, because I'm bothered, I'm here in the southern part of the country, if some food items doesn't get to us, do you think we can be able to meet our daily nutritional diet as
I don't hope it will get to that level where we'll say that we may have
the meat
food
we eat here, we're depending on the cows being from the northern part of the country, and also some other items also.
Well, security is more important than food. Life is more important than meat.
If you're alive and there is no food, then
life is more important than food, than meat. If the cow will kill the people, the people should think about the calf before they look for the cow. But what I'm saying is actually there'll be some very low supply of meat within this period. But the people should just calm down about it. It's not something that will worry everybody. I know that the government cannot allow this thing to continue. If they allow it, it is a very big danger signal for the government. It will not last. And as long as it lasts, it is harming the people giving the instruction more than the people receiving it. So,
I believe negotiation.
I tell it's on. Government is actually handling the issue. I think they were chased away yesterday, and I believe that may be the end of it.
Okay.
But I want to use this opportunity. The wife of the governor says, "You know that program has been on when we are being told to look around us and produce something for us. So everybody should just find something and do." It's not a question of everybody putting their hands in their pockets and they will not do. Let us produce. We can produce poultry here. We can produce fish. We can produce even goats. We rear goats. Last time we had a workshop for goats, and we are encouraging goat growing. People should grow goats, grow sheep, grow fish, poultry, and these are good sources of protein, and they're even better delicacies than cow meat. Cow meat, medical experts are not even encouraging overconsumption of it.
Okay, just before I let you go, before we move on to the next conversation this morning on the platform, the root cause of this issue, I want us to talk about it. This clash between farmers and herders. The herders are complaining of encroachment into their grazing routes, while the farmers are saying, no, you cannot use your cows and damage our crops. What do you think will be the lasting solution to these issues between the farmers and the herders in the country?
By profession, I'm an animal scientist. So I'm a professional right in this field. There is nowhere in the world except in Nigeria and the other primitive nations where people are still carrying cows about. I think it is the body language of the people at the top that the herders are looking at, and they are destroying people's farms. There is no place in the world again where people roam about with animals. They give them grazing lands. They have their ranches.
Okay.
You have your ranch. Some other persons, even in my own farm, when I harvest my maize, I will gather the stock and I sell it to you. It becomes your own food. Some other person will harvest his own crop, and the what is left out of it destroys. The rice people harvest, other people, you sell it to people who are ranching. Or you can even grow grassland in your own farm. Grow only grassland, or grow some legumes which feed animals. They will be buying it from you, and we all will be contributing to growing cow, directly or indirectly. Okay. So the ultimate is ranching.
It was kicked against. It was kicked against in the form of Ruga. It was proposed by the government, and it was kicked against by stakeholders, and saying we cannot give our land to.
I said ranching. I didn't say rugaring.
Okay.
I said ranching. I didn't say rugaring. Rugaring, or whatever is called ruga, is a different thing from ranching. It might still look like ranching. They're talking about going everywhere and giving settlement to some people. No. If I want to do ranch now, anywhere I want to do, even in Kaduna, I'll go and buy land in Kaduna, and I'll fence it round, and I keep my animal there. It's not a question of coming here to say every state give us 1 or 2 local government areas. You convert it to settlement for Fulanis. It's not what we are saying. That is not the principles of ranching. Ranching is anybody, you can go anywhere, buy your land, and prepare it for animals. Not use it as is not religious. It is not political. So as I speak about ranching. I'm not talking about ruga at all. Ruga is a political statement for politicians.
All right.
I'm here as an agriculturist.
Okay, interesting. I want to really appreciate your analysis this morning, Mr. Israel Amaze. Thank you very much for letting us have some minutes into that blockade of food items from the north to the south and under the guise of food security. This morning on the program, I do appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Israel is the program coordinator of the Abia State Agricultural Development Program. We move on to the next discussion this morning on the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions. We will be talking about security, another type of security. Now, this time around, some grassroots security challenges affecting us right here in Abia State. It is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions.